Welcome to Railgrind, the fast-paced, engaging card game for two players all about expression and freedom in a neo-futurist utopia. In Railgrind, you take on the role of a Rudy, someone who's looking to immortalize themselves in legend by skating, marking their territory, and racing their rivals while evading the military police. The goal is to complete a lap around Epsilon Station by using your tricks and tags to reach 30 style points. The game only takes about 15 to 20 minutes to play and focuses on direct interaction and snappy decisions throughout the entire race. Timestamps for specific parts are located in the description and in the pinned comments, and if you have any advanced questions, you can join our Discord server full of developers and playtesters who are happy to chat with you. Railgrind is fully playable on Tabletop Simulator for free, with a print and play document coming very soon as well. So let's learn how to play. First, each player begins the game with a 40-card main deck and one character card. Your character card has a list of abilities as well as a color known as their style and a gang that they belong to listed on the bottom corner of the card. Your deck can include up to 3 copies of any card that is either a silver generic card or one that matches your style or gang. For example, Grind here can include any blue stunt cards as well as any cards that belong to the Dank crew. Aside from your character cards, there's only 3 card types in Railgrind: tricks, items, and drones. Railgrind has no resource system, so when you want to play a card, you simply play it. Trick cards have an arrow symbol, and to play a trick, just do what the card says and then move it directly to the discard zone. Item cards have a spray paint symbol. They are played on the item row and stay there until an effect breaks them, which means to send it to the discard zone. And finally, drones have the robot symbol. To play a drone, put it on either side of your character card in the front row. In Railgrind, you only have 2 drone slots, which means you can only have 2 drones in play at a time. If you want to play a drone while you have no drone slots remaining, you must send a drone in play to the discard zone. To start the game, place your character card in the center space on the row furthest from you face down. Each player will then shuffle their main deck and draw 5 cards. If you don't like your opening hand, you can put all of the cards back into your deck, shuffle again, and draw 5 new cards. But you can only do this once, so be sure to only do this if you have to. Once both players have drawn their opening hands, you then take the top 3 cards of your deck and place them face down in the row closest to you without looking at them. This is called your speed gauge and is one of Railgrind's main mechanics. The speed gauge represents how fast your character is. If you have more cards in your speed gauge than your rival, you're faster, and if you have less, you're slower. Whenever a card or rule references a fastest or slowest character, this is what it means. When a card tells you to speed up, take cards from the top of your deck and put them into your speed gauge face down without looking at them. When a card tells you to lose speed, you take that many cards from the top of your speed gauge and put them into your discard zone face up. Remember that by default, you cannot have more than 10 speed and you can never have less than 1 speed. If an effect would put you beyond these numbers, simply ignore that part of the effect. Now that your play area is set up, flip your character cards face up and the game begins. Railgrind has a unique turn structure, in which players actually take their turns at the same time, passing one action between each other. The player who gets to take the first action each turn is determined by whoever is faster or has more cards in their speed gauge. If both players are tied for speed, you'll do a roll-off by rolling a 6-sided die. The higher roller wins, and on a tie, you re-roll. Both players will move to the next phase once they've done everything that they can in the previous phase, and the phases are as follows. The start phase. During the start phase, each player draws a card, then checks the board for any effects that say during the start phase. The faster player gets to choose the order these effects happen. Remember that on the first turn of the game, the start phase is skipped. Then, the speed phase. Each turn, players get a chance to manage their speed gauge. You have 3 options, starting with the faster player. You may choose to either speed up by putting the top card of your deck into your speed gauge, keep pace by drawing a card, or bailing by taking the top 2 cards of your speed gauge and putting them into your hand. Once both players have performed their speed phase action, we then move to the action phase. Once again, starting with the fastest player, both players take one of the following actions at a time, passing that action between each other. This goes on for as many times as you want in any order you want. You can play a card from your hand, put a card from your hand face down into your speed gauge, activate an action listed on a card in play, and to do this, simply rotate the card to show that it's been activated, and last of all, you can dash. Dashing is the primary way to get style points in Railgrind. To dash, activate your character card, and then gain a number of style points equal to the number of cards in your speed gauge. If you dash before your rival, you gain a bonus style point. Once you dash, however, you can't take any more actions. You can only pass the action back to your rival. Once you've passed 3 times in a row, the game will move on to the next phase, so your rival must choose their next 3 actions wisely. If your rival has any drones in play, you gain 1 fewer style point for each drone they control. However, you then place a damage counter on that drone. If a drone receives a number of damage counters equal to its battery, which is listed in the middle of that card, it is immediately broken and sent to the discard zone. The only time you can play cards outside of your action is if you have a React card. React cards will list a trigger in the card text that tells you exactly where you can play it. React cards also do not take up your action, so you go right back to your own action once that effect resolves. React tricks are played from the hand, and React items need to be in play and activate as their React trigger. Once you pass your action 3 times, or when both of you have dashed, the turn then moves to the final phase, the end phase. Each player recovers any activated cards and checks for any effects that say during the end phase. Once again, just like the start phase, the faster player gets to choose the order that this happens. After that, you move to a new start phase and the game goes on. You'll keep going back and forth until one of you reaches 30 style points. Once this happens, the game enters the final lap. You have until the next end phase to get as many style points as possible. If a player gets 30 or more style points during the end phase, the game moves on to the next turn, and then the next end phase will end the game instead. When that phase concludes, the player with the most style points wins. And that's how to play Railgrind. Our Discord is very active, and we have quite a few players always looking to play, as well as a ranked system that provides physical rewards such as sticker packs and physical cards. Railgrind is free on Steam via Tabletop Simulator, with Untap and ScreenTop.gg builds coming very soon. You can also join the Discord for community TV and art nights, and we really hope to see you there.